Hi. Thank you all. Thank you, Brenda. One of my favorite quotes is from Martin Luther King Jr. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Oh. Does this work? It does? Okay. Well, that day is over. Yeah, thank you. It's because of all of you being here to support events like this, and particularly all of the authors for having the courage to share their story, not only put a voice to the things that matter to them, but put pen to paper and share some of their most vulnerable thoughts and feelings that this is that day is over. And it's really, for me, it's an honor and a privilege to be part of this book and part of this journey. My journey over the last number of years, and particularly over this last year, has been finding my voice and discovering that I, too, can speak out about things that matter. I have a voice. I have something worth saying that has value and has impact on the lives of other people. And my journey wouldn't have been possible, and I wouldn't be standing here in front of you today and in the book without others who had the courage to speak up. I'm thrilled to have with all of us today my sister Gail from Denver, Colorado. She was the first one to break the silence and speak out about the abuse that was happening in our family. This was met with a variety of responses: denial, doubt, diminishing, and more silence. For me, her courage started me on my journey of discovery and eventually has led to me being here in front of you and in the book. What it did is it caused me to look at myself and face who I was and what had happened to me. And there were many anguishing moments of uncertainty about if this was real for me, uncertainty about what this meant about me, uncertainty of whether I was who I thought I was. And what I've discovered is that indeed it was real for me and so many others, many of you in this room today, some that have shared their story and some that have yet to. What I've also discovered is that what happens in our lives doesn't determine who we are, and it doesn't determine what we become. When I wondered if I was loved by parents who did things to me and stood aside and didn't do anything about it. And I wondered how can a loving God that I learned about in church and Sunday school allow these things to happen? And what I did discover is that I am loved beyond measure. And the journey over the last year to 2 years has been a part of me discovering that love and embodying that love and making me realize that God does love me and that He had and continues to be with me throughout my journey and all of that time. And it isn't without a lot of people that have stood by me. So I got to realize that I am loved and I can love myself. It caused me to evaluate the relationship I had with myself and the relationship with others and realize that there is an amazing army of people out there who are wanting to support me and that there is a God that really does love me. And there's another reason that I'm here today, and that was started at a Fabulous at 50 event where I met someone who had written a few books, one of which I read, and it hugely impacted me. And one particular part of that book was when she was riding a horse and singing, Singing the song Amazing Grace, and that saved a wretch like me. And I grew up feeling rather wretched and not a lot of worth. And I realized that others had been down that journey, and that I too can go down that journey. And a series of events led to Brenda and I reconnecting at the Leap of Faith. And very serendipitous, very directed from above. And the words of that song are something that I encountered on one of my travels. And I want to read a bit of it to you. And it's only, people ask me, how can I do this? How can I forgive my father? How can I carry on? And it's really not because of any capacity that I have to love and to give back. It's because of the love that I've experienced from all of you and from others in my life and from God. And this speaks of that grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost and now am found, was blind but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares I have already come. 'Tis grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. The Lord has promised good to me. His words my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be as long as life endures. Yea, when this flesh and heart shall fail, and mortal life shall cease, I shall possess within the veil a life of joy and peace. When we've been here 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. After I read that in the book and got such encouragement from the words in Brenda's I Can't Hear the Birds Anymore, I really wanted to reach out to her and say thank you. And I didn't have the courage to send my information off online and wait for a reply back. So I'm very grateful that we've had opportunities to connect and start on this journey for me together. And when I saw this, when we met, she said, I don't even know if I know all the words to that song to this day. And so when I found this on the journeys, I thought of her, and I knew that I wanted to get it and present it to her today. So come on. So I just want to encourage you all to know that you have a voice, and that expressing that voice will have a ripple effect that you have no idea, and will make a difference for the people that lives you touch. I think she's speechless.
First time ever. The song Amazing Grace, as Charlene had said, for those that don't know, is a song that I did sing from the age of 5. Because I, like Charlene, was sexually abused, and I would get on my horse and I would escape. And the only song that I knew was those 2 lines of Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. And I would emphasize that word wretch from the depths of my soul, because I felt like I was a wretch. But that was put onto me by other people. And I prayed and prayed for God to save me. And, like Charlene, sometimes you lose your faith because you don't see what is happening. And when we met, it wasn't a coincidence that we met, because there are no coincidences in life. It was meant to be through Amazing Grace.
Amen.
Thank you so much.